broke in a nursing home. That's what Elder Advisors is all about. Did I get that out right?
You said it correctly, baby.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Elder Advisors, don't go broke in a nursing home. You know, you work your entire life to attain the life that you want to live. And when it's time to make that transition into a nursing home, you don't want to have all of your assets taken away from you. And that's what Elder Advisors is all about. With me now is Larry Weiss, who is the founder and CEO of Elder Advisors. And we also have Terry Graham, who is a CPA and a partner, and we'll talk more about his role with Elder Advisors. First of all, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Ramsey.
You've got a couple of workshops coming up.
We have workshops tonight at the 4 Points by Sheraton on Crittenden Drive, and tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock in Clarksville at the Hampton Inn. And we've been doing this for a number of years, so we help families protect assets so they don't go broke in a nursing home, because the reality is you don't have to.
Yeah, there's legal strategies, financial strategies, and also there's also tax strategies as well that we're going to talk about a little bit with Terry. But before we do that, I'm just curious. Okay, we talk a lot about your workshops.
We do.
And it is a give and take. You make a presentation and then a lot of questions and answers, right?
Right.
Well, I'm just curious. What's probably the most common question you get when you're doing your workshops?
Oftentimes, of course, Mr. Langdon will lead off tonight. He's with McNeely Stevens. He does a legal component. But, you know, when we're on your show, with anybody that I'm talking to, I tell people, John, that personally, I want to be the dumbest man in the room, and I want to always surround myself with top talent, because, surprise, surprise, I don't know everything. And so one of the questions that people, here's a shot of our workshops, it'll be much like tonight, Denise Manicky. Denise's skill set as a former Medicaid supervisor with the state of Kentucky with almost 10 years experience, where before Denise would tell you at the workshop, as a caseworker, I couldn't tell you anything, just spend your money down. John, I'm partial, but that is a beautiful, dynamic man right there in the yellow tie. Oh, that's me. I thought it was John Ramsey. I'm sorry. That was my mistake. That's Larry Weiss. But in any event, now Denise can show people how to protect assets where before they could not. But probably, without a doubt, the most common question people ask is it okay that my parents gave my brother and I $15,000, so we got rid of the last $30,000 who were eligible for Medicaid? And with that, I will defer to Terry Graham at Rutherford Moss Accounting. I'm going to let him handle the IRS stuff, and then I'll come back to the Medicaid part.
All right, Terry, so there's the most common question. Tell me why you should or should not do that.
Well, as far as the IRS is concerned, for 2018, the annual gift limitation is $15,000 per person per year, so that would be acceptable.
It would be acceptable.
It would.
All right, so this is good news.
It is good news, but if you're in the context of filing for benefits for Medicaid, it's bad news because it's considered an uncompensated transfer. They gave away something for less than fair market value, and they will penalize you to do that. So we have to work with that when we're filing for benefits. But for husbands and wives, we can protect all the assets. So if one spouse is going into a nursing home, Elder Advisors, along with Steve Langdon and McNeely Stevenson with the legal component, we can protect all the assets so the family is kept whole and we can get care for dad. If it's a single person, we can protect about half of the assets. And the other part with Terry Graham at Rutherford Moss is, because much like I'm not an attorney doing the legal, which Steve Langdon does, I'm not a CPA doing the financials, which Terry Graham is at Rutherford Moss. So when we're moving these strategies, often there are tax questions, and I refer those people to Terry Graham at Rutherford Moss.
Yeah, I want to make sure that I give you enough build-up here and enough credit, because you talk about being the dumbest person in the room, though. But I tell you, you need to attend these workshops because you are a very dynamic speaker, and it keeps it entertaining, and it is critical information.
The producer said, "Don't forget beautiful, John." I'm beautiful.
And beautiful, and it's critical information. You might as well get it in an entertaining way.
For sure.
But Terry, I want to talk a little bit more about what you do, because tax strategies do change, don't they?
They do.
And you have to keep up, obviously, with the legal side of it, the tax strategy side of it. And for those who think, oh, it's easy, when mom or dad transfers and gets ready to, make that transition into a senior living facility, it's easy. What would you say?
It's not always easy. I mean, we've had the pleasure to work with Larry and his team for the last several years and have enjoyed all of it. But every person's situation is different. Mm-hmm. So we take a look at all the tax strategies available, including calculating capital gains and figuring out whether they need to make estimated tax payments, the whole 9 yards. It's different for everyone.
Something that I really admire, Larry, and I told you this off camera, I like the fact that, you are sincerely someone who cares about people, and you're willing to make a home visit.
Oh,
I mean, if someone says, look, I've got the family assembled,
right,
and you'll come to them and make them comfortable.
John, not only that, I'll work after 5 o'clock at night, and I met a family for Saturday at 10 a.m. in the morning. No one does that. And that's what's really unique about Elder Advisors is because of our full team approach, we literally hold people's hands through the entire process and beyond. And we're very mindful of the fact that a lot of the financial things that we're going to do may well involve a tax return being filed. If for no other reason, just for informational purposes only, because we want to tap down all those issues and questions, make sure they're addressed, and that's when I refer people to Rutherford and Moss.
Okay, and Terry, I would think for you to have the resources and assets and the team that he's assembled at Elder Advisors, that's very advantageous, because you go, okay, I got the tax side handled. You're going to need an attorney. Got it. You're going to need an expert when it comes to senior living. Got it. You're going to need someone who knows about Medicare, Medicaid. Got it. You know, doesn't that help you as well?
You're exactly right, John. It certainly does.
Hey, that's nice to hear, man. You got the team. You're not the dumbest guy in the room, by the way. You know a lot about what we're talking about here. Workshops tonight. Let's put the information up on the screen, and I want you to tell me, come on up. This is good information, and it will be fun.
It is fun. If you're not careful, you might learn something. Tonight, 6 o'clock at the 4 Points by Sheraton on Crittenden Drive. Tomorrow morning in Indiana at Hampton Inn, across from formerly Outback. Now they moved Outback over to Veterans Parkway. But remember, for husband and wife, if one spouse goes in a nursing home, we can protect all the assets. For single, we can protect half the assets. It's worth coming in. Do not prejudge your situation, and don't listen to Gus at the coffee club at McDonald's. Gus doesn't know everything.
Yeah, and it is all about, you know, like you said, protecting your assets. A lot of this information people don't know, and as you said, some of the folks on the other side don't want you to know.
No, they don't. Spend it down, $7,000 a month, and go broke.
There we go. And now, will Terry also be a part of this?
He's always a part of the business model. Sadly, he will not be this evening. He has a conflict with the schedule, but he's always available. I have his cell number. The staff is great. When we get families in, we'll get it taken care of.
All right. Well, once again, Elder Advisors, don't go broke in a nursing home. For folks who want more information, can they go to your website, and what kind of information will they receive?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can go to the website, elderadvisors.com, and get the basic information. Of course, they can reach out through the website and schedule appointments, reach out to our office, but we make ourselves available. It's kind of the old, it's the way things used to be. You take care of the client.
You know, but a lot of folks go to these workshops for information, of course, but secondly would be fashion advice. So what exactly will be the attire tonight?
Well, baby, I'll be on fire. I'm going to wear the same wardrobe I had tonight. I'm not going to lay down because I'll wrinkle the suit, so I'm going to stand up, be very stiff the rest of the day.
Terry, thank you for coming on the show. Thanks for your information.
Thank you, Mr. Rutherford, Moss, Terry, Graham,
Larry.
Thanks for being part of the team. Really appreciate it. Again, Elder Advisors, highly recommend them. There's a lot of moving parts, but they've got you covered. And really, it's all about compassion for the family and making sure that you can protect your assets with Elder Advisors. I really strongly encourage you to attend one of these workshops, and it will be entertaining. There's the information on the screen one more time. All right, coming up. Don't go broke in a nursing home. I think that's a lot of Americans' biggest fear, is that, you know, you save your money, you work so hard, it's time for you to retire, and you don't want your money to be misspent, or the government gets a hold of it. I mean, there's a lot of different options here, but the bottom line is don't go broke in a nursing home. Elder Advisors can help you with that. With me now is Larry Weiss, who is the owner and president of Elder Advisors, and also Jeff Hurst, who is a realtor with Remax Properties East, and he partners with Larry Weiss when they need him. Okay, I didn't do a good job of describing that.
It was terrible, John. I mean, camera 4 just fell over. It was a terrible intro, John.
It really was. It didn't do you justice, did it?
I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job, but I am.
Yeah,
could you pick up, Tandy, pick up camera 4? Yeah.
The message is don't go broke in a nursing home, and you don't want to do that. No. And that part is correct.
That is correct.
There's just, you know what, it's very complex.
It is.
And that's why you're needed. So tell folks who have not heard about Elder Advisors what exactly you do, if you would, Larry.
Well, hello, Kentuckiana. This is our first visit for 2019, so Happy New Year, John. Happy New Year, Jeff Hurst of Remax Properties East. But we're doing workshops next week, and but we help families basically transition their loved ones from their homes to long-term care, nursing home, but we use strategies to protect their assets so they don't go broke in a nursing home. Because the reality is, Louisville, you do not have to. You do not have to do that because there are special rules. Steve Langdon and McNeely Stevenson, I think he's going to be on tomorrow with us. He's our guest speaker, and Steve, as the attorney, calls it the special exceptions. And you know, he's developed these plans through his law firm at McNeely Stevenson Law Firm that there are exceptions in the rules that allow husband and wives to protect everything. Because the problem is we're all told by Bob at the barbershop and Carl at the McDonald's Coffee Club, well, you can't do that, or my kid did that 5 years ago. Let Bob cut hair, let Joe collect guns and knives at McDonald's, but listen to the experts because we know what we're doing. Rarely do we ever turn someone away that we can help in some form or fashion, because the reality is even if they're in a nursing home, even if they're going through $7,000 a month, we can protect assets. If they're a husband and wife, we can protect all of the assets. If it's a single person, we can protect about half of the assets. It's what we do. They can go on our website, elderadvisors.com, or our Facebook page. I love what I do. I have a passion for this. I'm truly blessed. I very much appreciate being part of the Way 3 community, and I mean that, John. I mean, you're really good at what you do. You understand what we're talking about. It's not canned, and I think that comes through to the viewers. But what we do is basically help people. We never leave them on their own. And what I find is when someone will, they're trying to do this, if anything, they're given a piece of paper and they're saying, okay, take this piece of paper, when you fill it out, come back to me. Well, 3 months later, poor Mr. Smith stumbles back in to the other person out there that's trying to do this, and he's done it incorrectly. Well, now he owes the nursing home $21,000 because it wasn't done correctly. So we hope, we hold their hands so they don't go broke in the nursing home. And that's what we're talking about with our workshops next week. Monday night, Tammy, I'm getting to it. That's our producer. Tammy, I'm getting to it. Monday night, 6 o'clock at the 4 Points by Sheraton on Crenton. There it is. Thank you, Tammy. Tim, you're a little late bringing that panel up, so let's get it on next time. But yeah, Monday night, 6 o'clock at the 4 Points by Sheraton in Louisville, and of course, Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock at the Hampton Inn in New Albany. But a part of that is, and I've said this throughout every time I'm on the show, is I want to be the dumbest person in the room. I want to surround myself with top talent. And one of that is, of course, Jeff Hurst at RE/MAX Properties East. Jeff is basically our in-house Kentucky Medicaid realtor because we can take lemons so often and turn them into lemonade. And when I invited Jeff to come on the show, as he's been on before, I wanted him to come on as a resource. But then Jeff texted me last night, and he said, actually, Larry, I'd like to talk more about being a client. So with that, I'm going to kind of pass the mic back to you now.
All right, this is interesting because there are many, as I said, there's many facets of protecting your money, protecting your assets. There's a legal side, there's a tax side, there's the real estate side. But here's what I think is really interesting about your story, Jeff, and I want you to tell it, is that, okay, you come from this from a different perspective in that you partnered with Larry and worked with him, but now you've decided to use his services. Tell us the story.
In 2018, situation with my mother and father, I basically overnight became a client of Elder Advisor Care. Situation with my parents, and I thought, wow, what am I going to do to help protect so we don't go broke in a nursing home?
Don't go broke in a nursing home, Jeff.
Don't want to do
that by heart now.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Don't want to do that. So I spoke with Larry about it, and I said I want to be a client as well. And the services they provide, the guidance through the process, it's very cumbersome, John. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I think obviously you're a smart guy and very good at what you do, but the bottom line is I don't think there's anyone who's qualified other than maybe Larry that knows all of the moving parts that take place when it's time to move into that and make that transition into a nursing home. So tell me about that. Like I said, you know real estate, but what other sides of that business did you not understand?
The $2,000 spend down.
See, and I don't even know what that is. Yeah. Boom, right over the old head there.
My brother and I, educated, fairly bright people.
Sure.
Neither one of us knew about it. And
if I may, to jump in, because a lot of families, Gus at the coffee club at McDonald's or Bob at the barber shop, to pick up on what Jeff said, and by the way, you look really good with your tie today.
Does look good.
I'm a little threatened by the bow tie. I guess you're much more... Are you? What was that? You're more assured of your masculinity than I am? It has to be, because I am not man enough to put on a bow tie. You clearly are. But it's part of why you're ready for spring, right?
That's right. Yep, spring market's right around the corner. Yep. And like I said, the service these guys provide, guiding you through the process, it's very cumbersome. It's a lot of work on yourself, much less knowing what to do. You've got to rely on them what to do, and then you've got to get names taken off of things. And mom and dad are still, they're fine. Yeah. Both are alive. They're good, but we just, there's a lot.
But I wanted to pick up on that they're operating under the premise that we have to spend everything down to that $2,000. And the reality is, well, we'll do it, but we're going to do it the right way. That's what Mr. Langdon backstops as the attorney with McNeely Stevenson. We're going to do it the right way, because what we're doing now, that we're pretty much wrapping up now, is we're able to shift all the assets to mom now. She's considered a community spouse. She's in the community, she's at home. So we're moving all those assets over to mom so that we can demonstrate and qualify for benefits for dad, because on dad's side, we do have him spent down now to that $2,000 threshold. So Mr. Langdon, his law office files for the benefits at the L&M building on Broadway, which is where my business partner, Denise Manicke, used to work at as a Medicaid supervisor. I've got the team. I've got the juice.
Yes, you do.
Okay, I'm telling you. No one does what Elder Advisors does. I mean, anybody can say, well, here's a piece of paper, go fill it out. When you come back, I'll do something about it. In the meantime, they've completely forgotten about you. People often ask, well, Larry, who would you say your competition is? And folks, I have no competition. I am the competition. I eat it up. I love what I do, and if I have a little bit of bravado about it, it's because I've earned it, and I've got the scars to show it. So that's why Mr. Langdon does the legal part. Denise works with the nursing homes, making sure the families are paid. but also to hold the family's hands, because otherwise they just get overwhelmed. And it's been a little overwhelming even for you.
It is. Oh, absolutely it has.
It wears you out. But that's what Tim and Suzanne, they're our dynamic duo. They help you with all that stuff. Sometimes they're giving you bad news in that I need it resent and stuff like that. But we need it, because at the end of the day, when Mr. Langdon files for Medicaid, I want the approval. I want the approval. I want to get the benefits. I want to be able to verify why we kept X money over for mom, why dad's now eligible for benefits. So we're going to do it. We're going to do it right the first time.
You know, I think it's interesting because there's a lot of people pulling, and they really don't have the client in mind. Like the senior nursing facility, they're interested in that check for the most part. And don't get me wrong, there's some great people who work there, and compassionate people, but it's all about the bottom line.
They want that check for $7,000 a month.
And you need someone on the real estate end who's looking out for you as well. So that's why you partner with Jeff, obviously. Now, so a lot of people are interested in the bottom line. You're probably interested in the bottom line. So talk to me a little bit about the kind of money that you can save, folks. Give me some examples. Maybe tell me a story about someone who didn't realize I can really actually put money in my pocket and hold on to my assets.
Well, and those are the war stories that we talk about at our workshop. Thank you for bringing it up. He was late. Thank you. Tammy was talking in my ear. But that's what we talk about at the workshop next Monday night at 4 Points by Sheraton on Crenton Drive.
True stories.
And absolutely true stories. And then Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. And the perfect segue to finish this segment is we had a family, it was a referral from the attorney over in Indiana. Dad had a home, we talked about this last time Jeff was with us, but it's certainly worth repeating, was everybody ran from this home. It was a train wreck, there was minimal money there, and everybody assumed that the house would get nothing for that. And Jeff, sing your praises, if you don't, I will like I did last time. You turned a bunch of lemons into a beautiful sweet lemonade that everybody wanted to drink on that house deal.
That is correct. There's a lot of work that went behind that. I don't even know that it was a lemon. It was something even more sour than what a lemon could be. Because
it was pretty bad.
It was a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I think hazmat went in.
Well, when the client gives up, you know you're in trouble.
Right.
But they actually were probably shocked at the money you were able to put in their pocket.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Remax Properties East. Get it right.
Jeff Hurst.
Remax Properties East, Jeff Hurst. Sing his praises.
And
right
we
there
will
it is,
do
folks.
There it is.
Remax Properties East, Jeff Hurst.
All right, so again, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the workshops that take place on Monday and Tuesday nights. We'll talk about the kind of information that's available and a little bit more of Jeff's story, because I do think it's interesting. We'll be back after these. Thank you very much, Larry, Jeff, on Wave 3 Listens Live. Don't go broke in a nursing home. We have Larry Weiss with us, who is the president and CEO and founder of Elder Advisors, and Jeff Hurst, who is with Remax Properties East. Jeff has a personal story. Not only does he partner with Larry in a business way, but also in a very personal way. He is now a client. Jeff, you were telling me, and I don't know the details, but when you had to step in and help out your parents, you said your brother, who you thought, you would think, okay, he's going to help me as well, he's in Jacksonville.
Right.
So a lot of this was on your shoulders.
It was.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
100%. And it's still, we're still gathering the data, but again, without their resources of what needs to be done, the car's got to be all put in mom's name. We got to get rid of one car, the mutual funds, the stocks that need to be cashed out, out of dad's name and into mom's name. There's a ton of work to do.
And I would think also there's tax laws that most people would not be aware of, because you're not in that situation very often. You are aware of that, and if you're not, Larry, you've got experts who are, right?
Yeah, and we had last season in the fall, we had Terry Graham, one of the partners at Rodford Moss, because I'm always going to refer folks to Rodford Moss Accounting for those type of things. But back to the narrative, a couple things is that, and I'm sorry, your brother's name is?
Greg.
Greg. The one thing, and Jeff may not fully appreciate this, is Jeff is fortunate in that Greg has been basically a good guy to work with, because all too often we will lose the deals in that suddenly the expert brother, Greg in Florida, wants to shoot the whole thing down. I don't understand, so what's the safe answer? You better not do it. Well, okay, and the problem is he's the one that's here dealing with it. But he wants to get along with his brother and all this and that, and all too often, because you know what, I'm good, but I'm not that good. And I can't fix the family dynamics. So sometimes we do have to say, you know what, you guys figure it out.
You see the scenario a lot.
Yeah, I do. You figure it out, then you come back and talk to me when you're ready to speak in one voice. So to Jeff's story, and I know the viewers can appreciate this, we just came off Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving awkward moments, is Jeff is very fortunate that Greg, because Greg has come up a couple of times, and we've had conference calls, all conference families all over the country. So at least Greg, was very understanding of what's going on, understanding and participated. So you are fortunate in that regard. Obviously, you're on the ground here, but at least he didn't have the problem of his brother backbiting him all the time with this. So that's a great immeasurable help.
Blessing.
blessing.
Right, absolutely.
Well, it speaks to your trust that your brother has in you.
Absolutely.
Right. And you know, getting mom and dad to agree to it. I mean, it's their money. They're protective of their money, and getting mom and dad to be comfortable with what they're doing. I said, you know, look, I've been working with this guy for 3 years now, handling their clients. I see what they do. It's real savings. It's real savings. What we do is real.
See, that's what I want to hear. The real savings.
If not, it's all gone.
And if I go too personal, if I delve too deep here, just tell me, Jeff. But with your parents, was it mom or dad that had to move into a senior living facility?
Dad.
It was dad. Okay. And he knew it. He realized it. So you didn't get pushed back there as well. And I'm assuming, because it sounds like your brother and you both very educated, smart people, I'm assuming they also said, we need help. Elder advisors, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Nobody knew. I mean, like I said, Greg said, I had no idea where to start here. He said, I didn't even know it could be done. And like I said, they've got the answer that, you know, from start to finish what you need to do.
So when should the process start? In your case, it hit you pretty quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you, like you said, maybe you were at Thanksgiving dinner, maybe you got together Christmas, you notice, and mom or dad they're slipping a little bit, and maybe they're even telling you, I'm forgetting my medication, I'm doing things I need to take care of. Okay, when should you get ahead of that? When's the time to call elder advisors?
Anytime. But that's why we're talking. That's why we're doing the workshops. We do them every month, but July and December. So we're real excited. This will be our first workshop of 2019. I'll go ahead and do it now, Tammy. Camera 4, zoom in. So we're doing the workshops Monday night, 6 o'clock at 4 Points by Sheraton on Crenton Drive, and of course Tuesday morning at the Hampton Inn in Clarksville. But we basically discussed 3 levels of estate planning. Jeff was crisis planning. The house is burning down. I need water now to put out the fire. The other extreme is pre-planning. Gee, maybe I can do some things now so I don't even have to deal with that down the road. And then third variable is pre-crisis planning. I was telling you on the break, for people that aren't in show business, that's between the commercials. Okay. So I was telling you on the break that tomorrow when Mr. Langdon's here, we're going to talk about the school teacher. Because the school teacher that I met just today at 11 o'clock, and he's coming back next Friday the 18th at 11 o'clock, he's pre-crisis planning, and we'll talk about that variable tomorrow. But certainly with Jeff is crisis planning, and that's why we want people to come out to the workshops, take advantage of the fact that Mr. Langdon is going to be there, answer these questions. Denise Manicky will be there, a former Medicaid supervisor down here at the L&N building, because you can protect assets so you don't go broke in a nursing home. It's that simple, but you have to have the right skill set, the right team behind you to be successful.
Well said, well articulated. And before we go to break, yes or no answer, do you now have peace of mind, Jeff?
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. The best time to give these guys a call is yesterday. It's like the real estate market. When's the best time to have your house in the market? Yesterday.
There you go.
Give me a call. I'll give you a free CMA on your house.
Remax Properties East.
Jeff Hurst.
Jeff Hurst.
All right, we'll be back with Globetrotter tickets next on Wave 3 Listens Live. The Harlem Globetrotters are coming to the Yum Center January 19th. If you'd like to win tickets, then you can be the third caller right now at 888-800-9283, and you'll win a family 4-pack to the 7 o'clock game. Again, the Harlem Globetrotters, if you're a red-blooded American, you should see the Harlem Globetrotters. Larry, I enjoyed the information. It was very educational.
Thank you.
But I think it's important. Workshops, right?
Workshops. We're doing the workshops Monday night, the 14th January at the 4 Points by Sheraton. And of course, Hampton Inn Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Be there. It's never too late. Call us today. Get your reservations. Join us at the website.
All righty. Jeff, before we go here, I want to thank you for sharing your very personal story because, you know, I didn't realize, you know, I knew you were very qualified and, you know, one of the best realtors in town, but it also humanized you a little bit.
Remax Properties East.
Remax Properties East, but it humanized you a little bit. Everybody goes through it.
No, he is the best.
I'm the best.
If you call Remax Properties East, he's the only one there. It's crickets. Otherwise, if they can't get Jeff first, they got to wait for Jeff to come in.
All righty. I love having you on, Larry. Now, you're going to be back on tomorrow. And
Tomorrow
like you said,
with Steve Langdon.
And we're going to tell a school teacher story, right?
School teacher story.
All right.
Yep, true story.
Looking forward to it. And again, thank you so much. Workshops, Mondays and Tuesdays. We had a little bit of time here to stretch here. So I just want you all to judge real quickly at home. Who's the best looking fashionista here? Who would look best front row derby of the third floor clubhouse? So look at this. There we go.
Come on, baby. It's right here.
It's a close call.
What's with the bow tie? I'm afraid of it.
Let's stand up.
It's a close call. It is a close call here. All right, again, elder advisors, not only are they the best in town, the only in town, they also are the best looking gentlemen in the city. We'll see you tomorrow on Wave 3 Listens Live. Welcome back to Wave 3 Listens on a Feel Good Friday. Elder Advisors was our guest yesterday, and they come back today because there's so many different layers in what they do. Elder Advisors don't go broke in a nursing home. Larry Weiss is with us once again. He is the owner and president, and he is joined by Steve Langdon, who is with McNeely Stevenson Law Firm, correct?
That's it.
Wanted to make sure I got that right. Larry, welcome back.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know what this is? Oh, that is Feel Good Friday, Kentuckiana.
For those who missed all of this personality yesterday, he is back, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of an overview of Elder Advisors, and then we'll talk about how Steve Langdon works into the plan.
Very integral part.
Yes.
Very, very. And so what Elder Advisors does is, for viewers that haven't met us before on your show, and by the way, Wave 3 Listens Live, my favorite show.
Thank you very
much.
Thank
favorite. So what Elder Advisors does, John, is we help families transition their loved ones from their homes to assisted living or to long-term care nursing home environments. We use financial and legal strategies to protect those families' assets so they don't go broke in a nursing home. We do the financial component. Steve Langdon and McNeely Stevenson does the legal component. Because if you're going to take advantage of what Steve at the workshop calls special exceptions, you have to be able to work together to do that. Because for husbands and wives, we can protect all of the assets. All the assets, husband and wife. If one spouse goes in, there is a process that Steve and I work together to move all the assets to the at-home spouse. That's what Jeff Hurst at Remax Properties East was talking about yesterday that we're now doing for his family. If it's a single parent, we can protect about half of those assets. But that always works with the right team approach. And as I've told you time and time again, I want to be the dumbest person in the room, and I surround myself with top talent, and certainly Steve Langdon, McNeely Stevenson, represents that top talent.
Yeah, Steve, obviously your area of expertise, elder law, correct?
That's correct.
So estate planning, as you mentioned, asset protection, there is a legal component usually in most of these things. So tell me a little bit about what you do, this partnership between the two of you, and how this marriage works.
Sure. I can't tell you how many times, especially in pre-planning, that I will have folks come up to me. Maybe they're living in Florida half the year, living up here half the year. They'll bring a trust, or they'll bring some estate planning documents that they've had created in Florida and say, hey, they're asking me in Indiana or in Kentucky, does this work? And invariably, it does, but then I begin asking the follow-up questions. Well, what about your bank accounts? Or if you have a trust, are those in your trust, or your home, or your automobiles? Have you placed any of these things in the trust? What I tend to find out is they have a trust, or they have these estate documents. It just doesn't control any of their property. And if it doesn't control their property, what they really have is a really nice-looking paperweight, and that's all it is. I get the chance to work with elder advisors, and the really nice thing for my clients is elder advisors will sit at the table with them. They'll sit at the kitchen table with them in their own home and go through. They'll go to the bank with them, go down to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. They'll do all these things with them to make sure that if I prepare a trust for them, these folks are going to come behind me and make sure it's funded.
See, just listening to Steve, Larry, it becomes very evident to me that this can be very complex.
It is.
And unless you've been through it, you have no idea. And also, you said something yesterday that really resonated with me. There's some people who consider themselves experts in the area, but in the areas of law, it's a moving target. Laws do change. Things happen. And why not go with the experts in each field? And that's what I think what you do is so unique and needed, because whether it be on the legal side, the real estate side, whatever it is, Medicaid, you have experts in place.
I do. And for the other people that claim to be experts, and I always do this, is, you know, they'll give the people a piece of paper and say, go do it, you know, and when you get back to me, get back to me. 3 months later, Mr. Smith completely messed up the application. He's now owing the nursing home $21,000. That's what makes Elder Advisors unique. I have 5 great people that work with me. I'm living, I'm not existing, I'm blessed. I've got great people that work with me. Denise Manicky's my business partner. She's a former Medicaid supervisor with Kentucky, where she spent 10 years telling families, no, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. I can't give any legal advice. Spend all your money down to $2,000. Now she's on the table telling families what they can do to protect those assets. And Tammy, yes, thank you. Now's a good time. Tammy, just remind me, this is a good segue to remind the viewers that, you know, come on out to our workshops Monday and Tuesday. 2019, people, Happy New Year. Okay, Monday night, 6 o'clock.
There it is.
There you go. At 4 Points by Sheraton, at right off Crittenden, and of course Tuesday morning at the Hampton Inn. But it takes more than just one person to think they can do this, and you have to know one thing and do it well, and pretty much only do this. And the other thing that makes unique with Elder Advisors is we actually listen to the client. So many people stop and think. So many people try to prove they're the smartest person in the room, so they talk at people. We listen to the families, we talk to them and with them. And a perfect example was yesterday. A gentleman came in, mom and dad are still at home, but their level of care is elevating. They're using some home health care. But he said, I'm not really sure, because we don't want to have to move mom to the nursing home. And then this is my school teacher story that I didn't have time to talk about yesterday. And this is perfect because it directly relates to legal, because elder advisors, we're not attorneys giving legal advice, we give financial advice. So the gentleman asked, well, what about probate? And I've heard about a living trust. And I said, well, you know what? That's a great instrument and tool to use. I'll refer you to Steve Langdon. So the family is now going to avoid probate, because that is 100% fact, isn't it, Mr. Langdon?
Hey, if you're going to pass away in the state of Kentucky or state of Indiana, probate is almost always a guarantee.
But this gentleman had a will, though.
Guarantees probate. And probate's that process where you got to go to court. You got to go in front of a judge. You know, and it's, for a lot of people, that's uncomfortable. Nope, you know, it's like me going to the dentist. If I can avoid it, I try.
There we go. Yeah, I think to me, peace of mind is one thing, but also an assurance that you have professionals who are handling this and you're doing the right thing for mom or dad.
Right.
And that's really important. I'm curious, you mentioned Denise Manica, your partner.
Right.
And you said because she was on the other side, the Medicaid side, that she was tired of saying no, and I think she really wanted to help people.
She does.
Okay,
she did.
Most people who do something with passion have a reason why they got in the business. In Denise's case, it's evident.
Right.
How about your case? What happened to you where you said, I want to help people?
Well, this actually started, if we're going back in time, my first career was with the airline industry. So in the mid-'90s, I was laid off from the airlines in mid-'90s, and I told my wife, I said, well, you know, we have a house and a car, we should probably get a will. And a friend of mine said, well, that's probably the last thing you would want to get. And I said, well, why? And he said, well, because that will's going to go through probate. I said, probate? I thought this will protect it. And he said, no. So we ended up getting a living trust. I can say a living trust on the air, can't I?
Yes.
Okay, all right. He's going to charge me. I'm going to get a bill.
There's right. There's a bill for that.
I'm going to get a bill from McNeely Stevens in Shelbyville, Indiana for $250 for that answer. Thank you, counselor.
So unfair.
Nothing is warmer than a letter invoice from McNeely Stevenson Law Firm.
So unfair.
But it's so true.
No, it is not.
It is. But so in any event, yeah, my wife and I set up a living trust. We've now had it for 20 years because now everything we have, our house, our car, our bank accounts, is in our living trust, to which we're the trustees of. So we've now avoided the probate process. Mm-hmm. Right. And then the clients became older and older now, and they're like, well, is this living trust going to protect from the nursing home? Of course, the answer is
no.
No. So then we do our crisis planning.
All right. If you have questions, anything about whether it be elder law or exactly what Elder Advisors does, then you don't want to go broke in a nursing home, give us a call, 571-5263. Larry's been nice enough to say, hey, we're open to calls.
Game on, Louisville. Game on.
I would think, Steve Langdon, that you're involved on many levels because, for instance, yesterday we were talking about real estate. Mm-hmm. Well, there's legal components there.
Right.
And you know, whenever you're going to sign a contract, I think it'd be nice. So I would think that the partnership and the working relationship you have with Steve Langdon probably pays dividends in other areas, not just elder law.
No, it's phenomenal. You know, whether my clients need tax help, you know, they're going to Terry Graham or Rodford Moss, certainly the legal help, I refer to Steve Langdon because I'm not an attorney giving legal advice. I only give financial advice. So I refer that legal stuff to Steve Langdon. If they need help selling their home, of course, Jeff Hurst or Fancy Fulton in Indiana. So I'm always referring out. I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. But I refer this out to other people. But they keep me in the loop. Because if I'm going to refer it out, I need to know what's going on.
And that's the really important thing when it comes to, if you're especially dealing in a crisis plan and you're dealing with a nursing home, it's not always just, well, there's an estate issue that a lawyer needs to handle. It could be estate, it could be real estate, it could be family law, a lot of different
Child
issues.
with special needs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Big time, you're
right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so one of the benefits I think that McNeely Stevenson brings to the table is we don't just do estate law or crisis planning. You know, we've got real estate attorneys there. We have business attorneys. We have criminal attorneys and family law. We do a little bit of everything. And I think that helps in all these cases because, you know, folks come in, sometimes they think they can do it alone. And I can tell you right now, I can't do it alone. Yep. I got to have help from all these different aspects. If you came to me and asked me to do a divorce, I'd look at you cross-eyed. I don't know how to do that. You got to come to somebody who does nursing home work, elder law, and that's all they do.
Yep. And speaking of all they do, that's all that Elder Advisors does. You're very. I think you're the only of your kind. You know,
we have no competition.
That's right.
We are the competition.
Yeah, we all mentioned some things that are cut and dried as far as, you know, wills and some of the components there of elder law. But something that's important to you is you mentioned family and different dynamics.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where you come in and you understand, look, you know, I'm going to help you every way I can. And I would think every situation is unique because this is usually a very sensitive time, right?
It is. So when the families come in, they're always concerned they're going to lose everything in the nursing home. And as I said earlier in the segment, the reality is for husband and wife, if one parent goes into a nursing home, we can protect half of the assets without even breaking a sweat. And girl, with my highlights, I'm not into sweating, so I want to make sure it's done right, John. John, do it right.
Do it right.
If it's a single person, we can protect about half of the assets. So that's why we're doing our workshops next Monday and Tuesday. Monday night, 6 p.m. at 4 Points by Sheraton on Crittenden Drive, and at Hampton Inn, Clarksville on Broadway at 10 a.m. But what's interesting, because you were actually starting to segue, I was going to go back to the attorney, is when families sit down, the first building block, when I sit down with a family, I mean, we'll talk, you know, for a little bit about the family, but the first really hard question I ask is, do you have power of attorney? And if they don't have power of attorney, the meeting pretty much just kind of shuts down. Because if the son is actually engaging or trying to engage from a mom and dad, if he doesn't have that legal authority, then I just kind of have to sit down and go, well, then you need to either get it or talk to Mr. Langdon, because that really allows us to work or not work. Is that a fair statement,
Yeah,
Steve?
it really is. It really is. Because a lot of times, you know, it may be mom and dad or dad. They're in perhaps a nursing home or in the hospital. Maybe they've had a stroke. Maybe they can't communicate. And so when we're dealing with these different institutions, if mom or dad can't speak to those institutions, we've got to have a backup. And we have to have the backup has to have legal authority to have these conversations. And so oftentimes when I sit down with folks, that's the very first question I always ask.
Yeah.
You know, do you have power of attorney? If it's a husband and wife, do you have power of attorney for each other? Do you have it for mom and dad? So that way, when a crisis hits, they can hit the ground running. Because, you know, every day, every week, and every month that things don't get done, you're running through thousands and thousands of dollars. And that's, you know, I talk to folks. It's so important that they, if you can, come on in. Come into these workshops. They don't cost you anything. Have a chance to sit down and listen. And the big thing that we do as well is we sit down and listen to them.
Yeah.
All right. I love the approach. Now, for those who want to know more about the process, free consultation too. If you don't like being in an environment with lots of folks, you want a one-on-one meeting, you can provide that.
Absolutely. We've got 3 offices, one off of US 42 in Louisville, one in New Albany on Charlestown Road, even for the Southern Indiana community out in Salem, Indiana. A long journey begins with its first step. And the biggest thing we try to impress upon the attendees at the workshops is keep an open mind. Don't assume it's too late, because rarely is it. You know, I keep beating up on Gus at the coffee club. Don't listen to Guff or Barb at the beauty shop. They're not the experts. You know, come to us, listen to us on that. And the other thing is, when we come back to power of attorney, more than once, I've asked the parents, 70, 80 years old, I'll say, well, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Jones, do you have a power of attorney? And I kid you not, all too often I'd say, well, no, but we'll get one when we need it. And I almost break out laughing. I'm like, you're missing the whole point.
Yeah,
You're
you
missing
needed
the
it
whole
before you
point.
walked in here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Because when suddenly Bob falls and the tractor hits him and he's paralyzed and he can't speak, well, can he get a power of attorney now?
Not at that point.
So what does he have to do now?
Now he's got to go through guardianship. And that costs money and it
Wow.
costs time.
You know, I hate to throw up alarms here, but I do think it's important because it's going to happen. I mean, something is going to happen, unfortunately.
Right.
And before it does, elder advisors, that free consultation, the workshops are very helpful. And if you have a question now that you'd like them to field, whether it be about elder law, about the process a little bit, then give us a call at 571-5263. There's the information again for the workshops. We'll take a little break. We'll be back with more. Don't go broke in a nursing home. Elder advisors, Wave 3 listens on a Feel Good Friday.
Feel good.
Feel good. Don't go broke in a nursing home. Okay, we're fielding calls at 571-5263. Every situation is unique. Larry understands that. Certainly Steve understands that as well. And if you have an issue, a challenge that may lie ahead, then give us a call. Or maybe you're experiencing something right now. Okay, had a caller, didn't want to go on the air, so I'm going to throw it. I think this will be addressed to you, Steve.
Okay.
So her situation is this. She was dating the guy for 25 years. Okay, was living with him. You know, they were basically married, but not with the legal work. Anyway, bottom line is he passes, wills her the house. Nonetheless, the kids sell the house, kick her out, says will is void. Why would that will not resonate?
Well, I got to tell you, that's a complicated question. You got a lot of issues going on, and that's really again comes back to the benefit of employing attorneys who don't just do one thing, because there's real estate issues, there's contract issues, there are estate issues.
The will.
the will, right. You got to have professionals who do those things, and that's all they do. So in that case, if somebody came to me with that question, I'm bringing in my real estate attorney. I'm also bringing in my business and contracts attorney so that we can all sit down, round table it, and find out what's the best case going forward. Now, in this situation, there's probably going to be some litigation involved if they want to follow through on that. Again, you're talking about courts, and that's what, when I'm dealing with clients, I'd like to try to avoid court.
Sure.
Nobody likes to go to court. Most attorneys don't like to go to court. Let's avoid that if we can, and that's what we sit down and we talk about that at these workshops that we have coming up.
So obviously that's a unique story. Larry, you probably have a million.
Well, actually, I have a follow-up question on behalf of the caller to Steve. If this gentleman, prior to him dying, if he had in fact set up a living trust outlining the situation to recognize this lady friend on there, I assume the outcome would have been much different.
I think it probably would have been. In that case, if he had made his girlfriend the trustee, in other words,
power of attorney to her.
The power of attorney. The trustee is the manager of the trust, and if the house was in the trust, those kids can't sell it.
Yeah, it would have been a much different outcome, financially speaking.
No, it would have been a different outcome. It would have been a different outcome.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you, the other thing you need too is, I come at this from a little. You asked Mr. Weiss here, how did you get involved in this? And I got involved in this from a personal experience. I had a brother who ended up after cancer issues and surgery. It was awful. It was just awful. And he ended up in a nursing home, and he lost everything. I had been a litigator for 15 years, going to court, arguing, doing trials. It changed when my brother went through this.
You want a different path. You want to help.
A completely different path. Well, the difference, too, is I think, and something I bring to the table, I've got the litigation background. And what you often find is when you're dealing with government, they don't always make the right decision.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to push them on it to get them to make the right decision. So when it comes to what we call ALJ hearings or administrative law judge hearings, which are kind of mini trials, you got to have somebody there. You got to have a lawyer who knows their way to the courtroom and who's not afraid to go in and argue. Right. I think I bring that to the table a little bit.
Steve does, and we talk about that at the workshops, because, if you're going through $7,000 a month, or you're about to go through $7,000 a month because you're looking at your 100 days of Medicare running out, both Indiana and Kentucky Medicaid departments are certainly predisposed, because, we have a little fun at the workshops, folks. Kentucky, if you come out, we're going to have fun. I'm a little silly. It's always at my expense, never at the audience's. But only because it's so deserving.
It is deserving.
Thank you, Counselor. Yeah, he's going to charge me another $250 for that. I don't need you chiming in, John Ramsey. Just because it's your show. Don't start thinking you can own the show.
I just concur. We'll just say that. Yeah.
But the thing is, if the states are predisposed to deny an application, much like Denise said she would do when she was working with the state, Steve brings the gravitas to the table. He's a former prosecutor in Clark County. He argues on both federal and state court, on both sides of the river. And you need that skill set and that, dare I say, aggressive nature, which Steve is reluctant to bring out, but he does when it's needed. I've seen it rarely, but it is effective, to push back to the state and say, no, this is allowed. No, you can transfer the house. You can do this. This money that's transferred is allowed. So you better have someone that's not afraid of the courthouse, because most of the people out there, they give you a piece of paper and say, well, just bring it back when you're done. Right. They're not going to the courthouse. They push papers. They're not litigators. And folks, if you're going to protect that $500,000 estate or that $80,000 that Mom has left, you better have the right attorney in your corner. And for me, that's always been Steve Langdon at McNeely Stevenson.
I appreciate that.
That's true.
No, I believe you. Yeah, rave reviews. I can hear your passion in your voice.
I mean, it's not, this isn't easy, because part of what we bring to the table when families engage elder advisors, we take that stress, that weight off the shoulders. And I tell the families, it's still going to be stressful. But we're going to kind of, we're going to be kind of the sin eater. We're going to kind of take some of that. We're going to deal with that. So when you get those stupid letters from the state, and they always invariably come on Saturdays.
Every time.
Always Saturday. And the family calls in a panic. So everybody has our cell numbers. No one does that. Everybody's left to leave voicemail, call back 3 days later. When you get those letters that panic them, they stress them out, they call us, we talk them back out of the tree, we get it taken care of.
That's really when you need professional advice.
For sure.
That's when you need someone you can depend on. Again, elder advisors, before we go to break, let's put the workshop, all that information up on the screen. These are Mondays and Tuesdays, right?
This Monday, this Tuesday. Monday the 14th at the 4 Points by Sheraton on Crittenden. It's okay, John, I've got it.
I know you do.
Monday night, 6 o'clock, the 4 Points by Sheraton on Crittenden Drive, right off Central Avenue, off exit 132. And, of course, Tuesday morning, the 15th of January, at the Hampton Inn in Clarksville on Broadway.
Once again,
Don't go broke in a nursing home.
Don't do it, John. You don't have to.
Don't have to. Larry Weiss, owner-president of Elder Advisors, and Steve Langdon, McNeely Stevenson Law Firm. There's their information up on the screen. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back.